Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter and welcome to the channel. In this video I'm going to be reviewing Star Wars from a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi. This book is an anthology book that contains 40 short stories celebrating 40 years of Return of the Jedi. We have 40 different writers that are really taking a look at the background characters. Yeah, we have a story about Lando. Yeah, we have a story about Ghost Obi-Wan, but we have plenty of other characters. Now, this review is going to be structured a little bit differently than my usual reviews. Obviously, I'm not going to go through and give this thing a grade because we have such a diversity of writers on this. It's going to be impossible to give it a score, but I'm going to just talk about the book for a few minutes and give my recommendation or not. So this book, just like the version for A New Hope, just like the version for Empire Strikes Back, really dives in deep to those characters you might blink and you miss it in the background. You know, those aliens, those lesser officers, all those type of characters. So, you know, we start this book off with Moff Jerjerrod, understanding what is going on with the Death Star, why he has to double his efforts, and how is that possible, and this whole trap for the rebels. And you go all the way to the end where you're talking about Force Ghost Anakin and his, you know, Darth Vader becoming one with the Force, having a conversation with Obi-Wan, and then seeing his son, seeing his daughter at the Bright Tree Village. You got that and everything in between. What I like about this is it just feels like the other book. It feels like a celebration of Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi happens to be my favorite Star Wars movie most of the time. So when I seen first, believe it or not, and that's why it's ingrained in my memory, because it focuses most of that movie, or a lot of that movie, on the scum and villainy. And we get a lot of that here, whether it be, you know, the quacking monkey lizard, which we get an origin story, to Sai Snoodles and what she's going to do in the aftermath of Jabba being killed, to even the Sarlacc pit and the origin story of a Sarlacc pit that's going through space and ends up on Tatooine, which is, at that time, a water-filled world. So there's a lot of cool backstory that's built up in these characters. You know, you go to Endor and we're seeing the Ewoks, we're seeing Wicket, we're seeing Logray, all these characters that are basically, the next time you watch the movie, you're going to think about these characters because the writers do such a great job of giving them character, giving them backstory. I like how this book, unlike other From a Certain Point of View stories, has the most new writers. You might have 5 or 6 authors we already know about, right? We have Alyssa Wong, we have Adam Christopher, we have Mike Chen, we have Jason Fry, we have several authors that we know of, but other than that, there is nothing but new authors in this. And I think that bodes really well for the future of the Star Wars books, because the way I look at From a Certain Point of View based on the other ones is that this is almost sort of like a pseudo audition for these writers to get their feet wet with Star Wars, and then they get their own books. I mean, I'm looking at different authors that are now part of the High Republic. Lydia Kang is the one I'm thinking of. She wrote the T1B story in the Empire Strikes Back, and now she's writing Cataclysm and other big stories in the High Republic. So I'm very excited to see the outlook of all these new stories that are going to be spun off after this book has now been published. I do like that we get such diverse stories in the way they're told, whether it be from a stormtrooper that is kind of just journaling his life on Death Star 2, as mundane as it is, always talking about how the CAF machine is not working and all this sort of things, about how he's thinking about creating handrail systems or somebody's thinking about creating handrail systems so they don't fall into a bit, like really funny on the nose kind of stuff like that. And then we get Ewok horror stories by Alyssa Wong, and it's just absolutely, it feels like these stormtroopers are in like a POW camp. So it's just like, whoa, there's some very diverse stories in here. Even talking about the dragon snake that is seeing from the outside of Yoda's hut and experiencing a change in the Force, and when he passes on, like there's all this crazy tiny little nuance to these characters. I will say, I do wish that there was a little bit more emphasis on some of the book characters. We know this is a very fertile area for the Star Wars galaxy. As much as it's great getting these brand new characters, which I never want to complain about, I would have liked to see more than just Nora Wexley. And that's just me selflessly saying, hey, give us a Sinjir story, or give us an Eric Quell story, or give us like an Iden Versio story in this timeline or something like that would be fantastic for me. And I would say there's nothing particularly groundbreaking. You're not going to need to read this novel to get the backstory of a certain character who's going to appear in something else, right? And that could be a good thing, right? This is a book that it's not necessarily engineered to sit there and speed read this thing. You could read like one little short story a day. They're perfectly digestible to read in 15 to 20 minutes, each one of these short stories. So it does move. So all in all, I definitely recommend, from a certain point of view, Return of the Jedi. If you are a fan of the movie, you're going to find some character that you're really going to get a kick out of, learning their origin story, learning a little bit more about them. This is the end of an era, right? We have the trilogy complete of the original trilogy from The New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi. Now we got to wait until 2039 for, from a certain point of view, Phantom Menace. So yes, I'm going to be considerably older. It's going to be interesting to see if that ever actually comes to be, but this is a nice time capsule for this era of Star Wars writing and storytelling. So there you have it. For more on Star Wars, including Ahsoka thoughts, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel to join a really cool Star Wars, positive Star Wars community. For more on my channel, go ahead and subscribe. That's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also included 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.